Yo, what is up everybody? It's Studio Seals here today and I am back with another video. This video is basically going to be a direct follow-up on my last video which I had made on Pac-Man World 2. It's just called Pac-Man World 2 is Back, which is a short commentary made by me. I wanted to make a follow-up on this video only because my last video got over 1,000 views, everybody. Thank you so fucking much. And instead of 5 likes, y'all motherfuckers gave me over 50 likes, bro. I'ma dig so far up my butt, y'all don't understand. I might just drill a 5th hole from digging in it too much, I'm not gonna lie. But now that I know what I'm working with, if this video right here gets 50 likes, not only will there be another hole from me digging in my ass so much, but I also had a new idea and or concept for shorter and more entertaining videos that I want to make on YouTube that I really want to showcase to you guys. And just because I'm getting very close to it, I would honestly consider it to be a 100 subscriber special. So if you guys appreciate what I'm posting right now, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more entertaining videos just like this one. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for the publicity and the good comments and the great support. I really do appreciate every single one of you. All right, everybody, let's get started with this shit. So before I talk about Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac and its goods and bads of a remaster, I kind of wanted to go on a rant and talk about how good of a game I think this is, and also the fond memories I had growing up with this masterpiece. And with that being said, I absolutely love Pac-Man World 2. When I was around 8 years old, I can't really remember how, but a PS2 just appeared in my house. It came with a handful of games, and a lot of them I can really remember off the top of my head. I'm talking some real good titles too, like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, Drake of the 99 Dragons. Hell yeah. Nah, I'm fucking with y'all. That's an Xbox exclusive. It's crazy to say that I had all these bangers of video games, especially being that young growing up, but the only title that I really cared for the most was Pac-Man World 2. This game to me was a fine classic. I remember beating this game countless of times without a memory card for my PlayStation 2. So much so that when I finally got one, the gameplay didn't even feel the same because I always started from the beginning. Even as a kid, I really loved everything from the UI to the designs of the characters and how well the movement is in this game. A couple of months into owning this game, my Pac-Man World 2 copy had gotten destroyed. That shit really sucked for me, but at the time, I also remember that I had a neighbor that I was really fond with. She and I used to play Pac-Man World 2 all the time. Unfortunately, she had to move away, but before she had moved, she had given me something that I cherish to this day, and it was a copy of Pac-Man World 2. I'm 21 now, and I still have the game case along with the disc and manual all packed in a one bundle in my storage, and it's safe to say that I kept it as good as it's supposed to be. That's probably the reason why I love this game so much, because even after I gotten the copy, I played this game for months on end and beaten it countless of times. So it really stored a lot of memories for myself. And it's honestly safe to say that I grew up loving this game. The movement is very awesome, and Pac-Man is always very expressive when he does butt bounces, rev rolls, when he gets hurt, anything of that matter. I love the small attention to detail, how you go into a maze and your lives are counted as your arcade lives rather than the real ones that you have back on the overworld. I also love the user interface details, like when you add points to your score, it bursts up in rainbow colors. And when you take damage, you can also see the back plate of the piece where your health is supposed to go. I like the Super Mario 64 inspiration, where your health is based off a pie chart that gradually goes counterclockwise as you take damage. And I kind of wanted to forward your attention on a little bit of a theory that I have for Pac-Man. So we all know when Pac-Man gets hit by a ghost in his arcade games, the circumference of the circle goes back until Pac-Man completely disappears. Well, when Pac-Man did the big step from 2D to 3D, I guarantee it was a little hard to replicate how Pac-Man would lose a life if it was in his 3D games. I personally think that the death in the 3D games is trying to replicate what is happening in the 2D games. Just hear me out real quick, alright? Now with Pac-Man being how it is, it's kind of hard to replicate a spinning motion in a game like Pac-Man. So what they made him did instead was make him gradually disappear. And the 3D death animation that you see from Pac-Man is actually how he's supposed to die. But since it was really hard remaking it on certain software like that, this is what we got instead. To support this, we have the same identical death animations for all 3 Pac-Man World games, which leads me to believe that they really wanted to do this idea but they didn't have enough resources to work with at the time, which is why in all 3 games it's been represented as the death animation. But what I think is a really good representation from the 2D death animation to the 3D death animation is the Pac-Man World Re-Pac death animation. Jesus, I said that word so many times. But like I said, in Pac-Man World Re-Pac, when he dies, he spins around and falls to the ground. And if you were to put these side by side, disregarding the poof at the end obviously, you could really tell that these are very similar. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory! Alright, enough theoretical nonsense and back to the super glaze. This wouldn't be a video that compliments Pac-Man World 2 without talking about the final boss in the game. And that boss is Spooky. Now, in my opinion, I think Spooky is one of the best antagonists in the Pac-Man World franchise, without a doubt. And I'm gonna even put him up there and say that he is the best boss throughout any Pac-Man game ever. Alright motherfuckers, I'm finna drop some Pac-Man lore on y'all. Many centuries ago, Spooky's goal was to just terrorize Pac-Land any chance he got. He really wanted to destroy the existence of Pac people, but he really did not have a lot of help in doing so. This ended up playing a really big role later as Sir Pac-a-Lot decided that he was going to rain terror on Spooky and destroy him once and for all. Many say that it was a very consistent fight, with Pac pellets being ate and ghosts being slaughtered all together. But eventually, Spooky had lost the fight, and he was sealed away under the biggest tree in the middle of Pac Village. How was he able to do this, you might ask? Well, many years ago, around the same time, there was a great Pac wizard that was able to turn ordinary fruits into golden fruits. These golden fruits were then used by Sir Pac-a-Lot to keep Spooky locked under the tree forever. Many centuries later, on one random night, Blinky and his friends decide that they're gonna go and terrorize Pac Village. While here, they feast their eyes on the golden fruit, and they began plucking it one by one. To them, it seemed like a harmless game, but eventually it unleashed some havoc that was gonna terrorize Pac Village once and for all. Spooky emerges from the tree and starts monologuing a little bit, and as a slight backhanded thank you to the ghost, he decides to recruit them, and he splits the golden fruit up between all of the ghosts so that he can have ample time to destroy Pac Village. Now tell me this doesn't sound like a badass of a character. And look at his art design. He's got devil horns with ominous looking eyes. He even has a dead Pac-Man symbol on his chest. This motherfucker was made simply to kill Pac-Man. Hell, even in the intro, he's talking about some
"Follow me if you want to get rid of these Pac people."
This dude was trying to wipe out an entire race. He even has some dialogue that would signify he would kill Pac-Man. Comparing this antagonist to Orson or Irwin is just a fucking joke, like seriously. Okay, so this is new news to me, but in the Pac-Man World series, Pac-Man is actually depicted as an actor of some sort, thus generalizing the story a little bit more with Orson. What's very weird in the Pac-Man lore is that Orson was actually a good friend of Pac-Man for quite some time, and Orson is a ghost, so, you know. As Orson and Pac-Man grew up, Pac-Man became a wonderful and famous figure, with his arcade cabinets blowing up in sales. He would also have several licensed games under his name, thus making him a pretty big figure overall. With the amount of attention that Pac-Man was getting, Orson grew very envious towards this, and he decided that he was going to make his own Pac-Man. Literally. And thus, the beloved Talkman was born. With all his features resembling Pac-Man, but slight a bit uglier, we have a machine created by Orson to defeat Pac-Man. So what you're telling me is that Pac-Man is childhood best friends with Orson. Orson couldn't see how Pac-Man was getting all this motion, so he decided to copy his motion. Not only that, he kidnaps his entire family, and he decides to beg for forgiveness when he does not catch Pac-Man, the only person you actually needed to catch. And I'm not gonna lie, the funniest shit is seeing Pac-Man have no remorse and just grab Orson and fucking chomp him up. It's just hilarious, dude. But rightfully so. This dude kidnapped his entire family. And I just like how Pac-Man does it all with a smile and no remorse. And the way he just pulls out the power pellet specifically for Orson, that shit's funny as fuck. Yo, what's up everybody? It's Studio Seals' editor here. Studio Seals. Okay, I wanted to add this little part because I couldn't preface how funny I thought this shit was. So I was just talking about how Pac-Man is kind of a celebrity of some sort, and that his likeness is recognized throughout video games, toys, and even food. Now, I just figured out that the Pac-Man World game is kind of like Super Mario Bros. 3 in a way, where the entire game is a play rather than it is an actual story. So long story short, Pac-Man was using his likeness the entire time in Pac-Man World 1, and I had no idea that he was doing so. So the kidnappings, Talkman, and the rivalry between Pac-Man and Orson is actually all just a little skit. If you take a look at the cutscenes in Pac-Man World, you can see that some of them are literal bloopers to the ones that we know and love that make up the story. It's really funny to see games do stuff like this. It's very creative with their time. Anyways, that's all that Studio Seals' editor wanted to say. Now we're going back to the actual video. And call me biased if you want to, but I really just don't fuck with Irwin. I don't. Firstly, that's Orson's friend, so you already know that motherfucker's up to no good, no type of good. Secondly, Irwin is simply just a little bitch. He's terrorizing Pac-Land from hundreds and hundreds of miles away, somewhere that Pac-Man can't even get to at that second. You already know how Pac-Man come in, bro. He is pressing shit immediately. He got the power pellets ready for anybody who want that shit. That's how you know this motherfucker Irwin had to take a step back from this dude. If anything, Pac-Man is a little bit of a psychopath. He does all this shit with a smile on his face. And remember, he's always spinning back. I'm getting a little too off topic here, but what I'm trying to say is Spooky is, if not the best antagonist in the Pac-Man World Series, if not throughout every single game that Pac-Man has. He's been doing this shit way before it was cool, trying to get the Pac people off the map. And in my opinion, Orson and Irwin is just a mere puny thought between Spooky and his rivalry between Pac-Man and the Pac people. I mean, if you guys want to put it this way, we're comparing it between a mass murder and a kidnapping. Alright, we're digging way too deep here. I wanted to take a couple of steps back and talk a little bit more about Pac-Man World 2, but in a different way. This may be old news for the people who have stuck around and watched my last video and or are just fans of Pac-Man himself. But Pac-Man World 2 is actually getting a remake titled Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac. And as you guys know, in my last video, I kind of expressed Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac in a way that was just kind of minuscule in my eyes. So I wanted to take the time and re-explain a lot of this information that I have and express to you guys how much I actually really like it instead of the rush recap I gave you guys last time. There's also going to be a lot of content I'm going to review from the Re-Pac version, like comparisons and new content altogether. So without further ado, let's get started on this. Alright, so right off the bat, we have a really nice collab between Pac-Man and Sonic. Sonic Cross Worlds Racing is going to have a Pac-Man inspired racetrack where it looks like you're driving through Pac-Land. While in Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac, we get an entire DLC based off of Sonic and Green Hill Zone. Damn, this looks good. And honestly, for both of their games and the way that they did this, it fits really well. And not to mention, I really love Sonic, like actually. We got a couple of comparison videos that compares the old game to the new Re-Pac version. And I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of mixed feelings on this topic. Okay, so in my last video, I basically stated that Pac-Man World 2 was a game that is made for kids and is designed for kids. And I said that for a couple of reasons. But one reason I said in particular is your movement and how well you jump in this game. To refresh your memory, I basically stated that in Pac-Man World 2, there's not one jump that requires you to do any form of other kind of jump that makes you move a little further or even higher. One thing I've noticed about Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac is that they decided to use their Japan iteration of Pac-Man World 2 to move on with this game. There's no problem with this in particular. However, if you guys put comparison videos side by side between the US and Japan releases of Pac-Man World 2, you can easily see that the Japan version is significantly easier than the US version. So there's a lot of less enemies and bottomless pits altogether. But hey, this is a remake, not a remaster, so we are going to see a lot of differences here and there, even if it's an iteration of one thing to another. Moving on, we got a lot of new content entirely, like daily challenges and different things that we can unlock. In the original game, there's a museum in Pac Village that you can go to that showcases all of the older games from Pac-Man. These were unlocked using the Namco tokens that you can find throughout every level. And in the Re-Pac version, it looks like you can also unlock costumes and statues that can go into Pac Village, and you can place them however you like. For this, I don't think you need to have the Namco tokens to proceed to unlock these. However, I have a feeling that you probably have to hit a certain criteria to unlock any of these things. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little juiced to talk about this a little bit. So remember in my last video when I was talking about the concept and how there's a numerous amount of ways to use Pac-Man and his attacks to defeat bosses? For example, they could make it to where that you can axe kick some of the snowballs or fireballs that are being thrown back at you. Or we can find a different way to damage the boss other than using Pac-Man himself as a weapon. Well, believe it or not, guys, they actually did it. They actually made that happen. Not only did we get a boss rework for nearly every boss, but we also got new and improved movesets for every single one of them. And we see Pac-Man axe kicking projectiles. This is exactly what I asked for. I may have talked bad about the new Re-Pac version because of how unesthetically pleasing the movement looked, but they really took time and they thought about everything that was the matter of this game. Now, I wanted to explain something in my last video, but I couldn't really find anywhere to put it, and that was just how insanely hard some of the fruit is to collect. And that's okay coming from a collectathon. That's basically how most of it is supposed to be. But in the original game, some of these collectibles were genuinely broken or they were really hard to collect at first. One good example that I have in mind are the Pac pellets that are trailed into a shape of an arc. I guarantee anybody who's played this game knows that the arcs are kind of brutal and you might have to do them more than once to get all of the Pac pellets consecutively. Two good examples I have off the top of my head are Canyon Chaos and Ice River Run. The Pac dot placement along with the jumps that you have really make these parts of the stage a little timid if you're trying to go for a 100% run. And I know in my first couple of playthroughs through this game, and even playthroughs that I have now, that I've been messing up the jumps on these and having to go back on them a couple of times. And although at first I didn't find purpose for the extra movement that was being involved in the game, I now have a sudden soft spot to it for now realizing how hard some of these jumps can actually be. We're gonna stay on this subject a little longer, but we're also gonna talk about the new and improved movement that Pac-Man has now. It looks like in the Re-Pac version, we got a lot of new movesets coming from Pac-Man himself. In my last video, I caught something pretty interesting. In one of the trailers, there was a flutter kick that Pac-Man had while he was jumping towards another platform. And something that got added that was in Pac-Man World 3 was a super butt bounce. But other than the teasers, we have a trailer showing a massive overhaul at what Pac-Man can do. This young bull is new and improved with this super butt bounce. He's able to throw pellets now, and there's an axe kick that you can perform on the ground. I'm most interested in this move mainly because in the original game, there wasn't an actual way to harm enemies or break boxes other than a butt bounce. There are several cases where you can axe kick a box suspended in the air, but no matter how hard you try, anything that's on the ground you cannot axe kick no matter what. There's only one other enemy that I can name off the top of my head that you have to rev roll into before butt bouncing in order to defeat the enemy, and that is the rev roll ram. With this new and improved axe kick, not only can you axe kick boxes that are on the ground, but you can also axe kick enemies. Now this is super dope. This is going to change the way that all of us play this game no matter who we are. Looking at all this new content, it kind of makes this old gameplay of mine feel very limited as to what I can do. And it's honestly safe to say that I just can't wait for this game to come out, like Jesus. I said this in my last video, but Martin T. Sherman is coming back to voice Pac-Man in Pac-Man World 2. For those of you guys who don't know, he is the voice actor for Pac-Man in Pac-Man World 3. Now there is voice acting in the original Pac-Man World 2, but I solemnly believe that there's only two people who have voice acting in it, and that's Professor Pac-Man and Spooky. The ghosts also have a tiny bit of voice acting, but it's just grunting and yelling. But in Re-Pac, man, we got hella voice acting. It's kind of weird because in the CGI films that they put in this game, there's a lot of voice acting that comes into it. However, in the actual gameplay, you only get text boxes with no voice acting. So since this is a remake, I can't wait to see what Pac-Man has to say to other people. And I wonder if Professor Pac-Man and Spooky get different or extra voice lines, or if they stay the same. One thing I really hope that they do for Pac-Man's personality is keep it the same way as they did in Pac-Man World 3. Because in my opinion, he sounds like he has humor and he's grown and sarcastic-ish. And this is technically our first look at Pac-Man's personality in a way. And so far, everything in this game looks very promising, so I really do hope that they took notes in the voice acting as well. I wanted to come back to a little topic on the reworks of the bosses in Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac. I want to just say that again, I'm really happy that they decided to redesign all of these bosses faithfully to who they are and what they do. And every single one of the bosses have a theme fitting to them as well. Now, I only technically seen 2 redesigns, which is Clyde and Pinky's. But I'm gonna be honest and say that these redesigns really impressed me. And it kind of looks like halfway into the fight, they'll go into a phase 2 mode where they eat the golden fruit and they use it to their advantage. Now, this was some great thinking on their part. I know I keep referring back to my last video, but I had also said in it that the bosses in Pac-Man World 2 were pretty bland and cheap. Every ghost except for Clyde had a redesign of Inky's flying machine. And other than the themes, the attack patterns and their movement are very similar. So like I said, I'm very happy that they decided to turn this approach into something way bigger than expected. Something that I noticed in this same trailer that they were showcasing the comparisons of the bosses was this new mode called Fairy Mode. I'm not gonna lie, Pac-Man is taking a crud ton of inspiration from Super Mario Bros. But anyways, in this new Fairy Mode, once activated, there will now be new platforms in the level that'll basically act like an extra assistance for you if you have trouble beating the level. It's very similar to Mario's permanent P-Wing, where Mario has a Tanuki suit that will help him fly indefinitely. I don't have much to say about this addition because you don't necessarily have to use it if you really don't want to. And this is typically only for the people who have a little bit of trouble with this game, so that's quite understandable to have something like this. Alright, I'm going to explain the rest of what I've seen in Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac that is new to me, while also keeping it very informational and brief. The Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac UI is similar to the Pac-Man World 1 UI, as we get 5 parts of lives instead of 3, which in the original game, we only got 3 parts of lives. In the original game, when you eat a power pellet, you glow and you're able to eat ghosts at your arrival. The Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac redesigned the power pellet, and it causes you to turn into a traditional Pac-Man while also growing in size. This redesign is going to completely change the way that we play our levels. You can collect gachapons for collectibles, or you can just put them around the map. There's a new shop in the game, and it's called Nova's Shop, and she's able to give you new costumes for Pac-Man. I really like how they're using the rest of the houses for content in Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac, because in the old village, honestly, there wasn't that much content and it was very boring to begin with. And some of the costumes are also a callback to some of the older Pac-Man games that we have. There's a lot of more changes to stuff like the UI, the time trials, and more. One thing that I appreciated after they showcased it is that now the UI shows you all the fruits that you collected and the fruits that you need to collect. The power pellet from the Galaxian mazes also look quite similar to the ones that you get in the overworld. And one thing my autistic ass wanted to point out is that your movement while you're in a ball form is heavily improved. This will make stages like Magma Opus a lot easier than what it should be. And the last thing I wanted to point out was that in the water stages, especially in the scuba stages, you can turn around. What? These stages aren't linear anymore? That's insane. I don't want to get too far into detail, but all the water stages in Pac-Man World 2 are linear and they're auto-scrollers. So seeing this redesign really surprised me, and honestly, I had no words for this. If anything, this furthers my biased opinion on how much I love Pac-Man World 2 and how much I'll probably love Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac. Now, I know it's crazy to believe, but as much as I've been talking about Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac and how good of a remaster it is, the original game is always going to have a special place in my heart no matter what. There is that certain jank in the game that I know the Re-Pac version of it is not going to have. I know the ice and the ice levels aren't going to be as slippery and broken as they once were. The ice skating and the rollerblading levels aren't going to be as fluent as I remembered them. And I know when you ground pound on a slope, it's definitely not going to launch you out of existence anymore. These ledges right here aren't going to be instant death anymore after you've grabbed onto the side of them. Pac-Man won't be able to do the janky stuff after he defeats a boss. And you're probably wondering to yourself, are these the reasons why you like this game? Yeah, that's the reason why I like this game, you motherfucker. Well, not only do I like this game because it holds fond memories in my heart, but I highly doubt that they'll ever keep the jank that was once in Pac-Man World 2. There was a crud ton of yapping in this video, but we finally made it to the end. I'm gonna be honest, I had a lot of fun making this video. I really did. After I seen the love that you guys shown for the last video, I was bound to make another one. It was just only a matter of time. And I'm kind of glad that I did in the first place, because with the time being right and Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac coming around the corner, I was just bound to talk about this for an immense amount of time. I originally wanted to make this video about 15 to 20 minutes long, but I had exceeded 25 minutes at that. And those weren't even clips that I had to fit. I really just wanted to add clips myself and make this video a lot longer than it needed to. So it's safe to say I enjoyed making this video and every aspect of it. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys want to see any more content coming from me, like a retrospective of any kind of game, or maybe even another game that I had as a child and I pull it out of my storage just to review it, kind of like this game right here. Send me any form of criticism you would like. Any form of comment in my eyes is a great comment. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on your way out. And last but not least, it's been Studio Seals here. And thank you everybody for watching. You are now done watching my video. Peace.
Hey, never trust a girl. Welcome to my world. Necklace full of pearls. Hey, closet full of jewelry. She's full of foolery. You ain't fooling me. Yes, I know.